What's up, guys? For this week so far, once again, because of our video, but look at the High Lords of Terra. I thought it was something good to check out, so I know the basics of what Terra is. I know it's all artificial man-made land, which sucks. It's overpopulated, which is a complete understatement because they are overpopulated to all hell. It looks awful to live there, and I'm not even getting into the whole functionality of society there because that is literally hell on earth. So we're just gonna avoid that right now. But I thought it'd be kind of cool maybe to see the upper range of Terra, who runs Terra. So I'm assuming that is what this video contains. But if you guys want to check out the original video, it'll be in the description. Make sure I show them some love. Like every content creator ever actually on this channel, they take a lot of time to take all this information, all this lore, and to make it into an easy to understand video. So show them some love. I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you guys enjoy my content, if you guys enjoy my reactions, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get to it.
Gal for being such a large, powerful faction that was more or less constantly at war with all other factions simultaneously, the leaders of the Imperium aren't very good. Sure, they are smart and powerful, but they are also unbelievably selfish, unreasonable, and corrupted.
True.
In the traditional sense, not the chaosy sense. There have been multiple coups and mini-civil wars due to the occasional High Lord getting too big for his boots, killing the others,
Damn.
taking control, and then either the space
What? You're telling me someone in Warhammer isn't batshit crazy? What?
or custodians have to come in and kill their ass to restore order.
Oh my
But regardless
gosh.
of their incompetence, the High Lords are an interesting bunch, each representing a key aspect of the Imperium, and that is worth talking about. Before we get started, we all know Manscaped is at the why worry for attach package or their part is in this video. Today we'll go over the High Lords, including what position each High Lord holds, what sub-factions are represented, what authority they have or had, as well as some of the notable High Lords and the current High Lords and how Helaman's return has changed their role. Also, once again, shout out to my amazing artist, Alex
You think you're tough shit until the custodians come and knock your door down. You're like, ah, shit.
Christie for the thumbnail art for this video. Full res version is free to view and download on my Patreon. Now let's get into it.
Franklin University makes it possible.
Be unstoppable with a
We're 2 minutes in and we already got an ad by YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Appreciate you guys.
The Emperor never wanted mankind to be
Hate that
ruled
shit.
by gene-enhanced demigod super soldiers. The Primarchs, Space Marines, Custodians, and even him were a necessary tool to grant mankind its dominance and freedom from fear of annihilation or enslavement. However, he fully intended for normal humans to govern themselves as soon as the galaxy was free of threats, which is evident by him allowing Malcador to basically run the Imperium and establish the Council of Terra towards the tail end of the Great Crusade. It was actually this desire that turned so many legions against the Emperor, as they believed it was their right to rule the galaxy, that they bled to dominate. To some Primarchs, the idea of handing over the keys to their empires to mere mortals, people who hadn't bled a drop during the Crusade, was appalling. But let's go back to their origin.
I could kind of see their
when the
thought
Emperor formed
about
the
it, though.
Imperium in its true form, he had a small
If you fight for, decades at a time, even longer, obviously, but if you fight for that long, you lost so much, and just like hand over, like, yeah, here you go, you just ruled my empire. I lost hundreds of men for, thousands, maybe millions of men for. Yeah, I can see like why they could piss some people off, dude.
Council of
Especially
Advisors
if you're so
called the
powerful
War
and stuff, and they
Council.
can't do
It
anything to
featured
you,
the Fabricator
literally.
General of Mars, the
Hard to
leader of the
do.
Navigator Houses, and Malcador the Sigillite. He made this council as
People
without
are
Mars or
selfish
the
at their
Navigator
core.
Houses, there would be no Great Crusader Imperium. Malcador was there because the Emperor loves his bro Mal. As the Crusade really kicks off and the Emperor began discovering his Primarch sons, he and his newfound demigods were the new de facto rulers of the Imperium, as all that was required was conquest. However, as the Imperium grew and the boring administrative shit, like collecting taxes, was required, the conquerors began losing their influence and authority, with Malcador stepping up as Imperial Regent and basically running the show whilst the Emperor fought battles or planned his next move, like the creation of the Eldar Webway. As such, the Emperor and Malcador formed the Council of Terra, not a small gathering of High Lords, but a grand council of thousands of administrative civilians from all aspects of governance. To be honest, the Primarchs should have been pretty stoked. They could continue to focus on the conquering, not the boring accounting shit.
Same with their
Horus
men,
was
too.
still in command of the Imperium's militaries after all.
Ooh, that armor,
However, when
though.
the Council of
Space Wolves, baby, it looks so good.
Terra started
So
requesting
good.
Horus to help them with stuff, like allowing planets he had recently taken to start getting taxed, he got pissed off. As we got closer to the heresy, the council again evolved. There was now a Grand Council, featuring leaders of the most important wings of the Imperium, with the other normal councils still existing and having thousands of other bureaucrats. This Grand Council featured Malkador as the Regent, the Fabricator General of Mars, the Captain General of the Custodian Guard, which was Constantine at the time. Then we also had the Astra Telepathica, the Administratum, the Navigator Houses, 2 commanders of the Imperial Army, the Adeptus Arbites, the Astronomicon, the pharmaceutical companies, because of course big pharma is
Of course, even in a fake universe, there's still big pharma there, right?
there, as well as the Estate Imperium, the Chartist Captains, and the Imperial Chancellery were all represented. Don't ask me exactly what each of those wings were, I'm not entirely sure, and this Grand Council didn't last that long anyway, since when the Horus Heresy broke out, the Loyalist commanders took control of the war effort and basically just ignored most of the Grand Council anyways. By the end of the Heresy, the Loyalist Primarchs were running everything,
what do you
as
guys
they
do
tore
about
the
it?
trash that was the traitors from the Emperor's realms,
They're
and
Primarchs.
banished them to the Eye of Terror. The
that
Emperor
meant
was a
you could.
vegetable, and Malkador was now a pile of dust, so the Grand Council was more or less just dissolved, mainly through no one giving a fuck about them anymore. However, as the dust settled, Guilliman decided that they couldn't just focus on vengeance all the time, so he reformed the Council of Terra and put himself as its leader, the Lord Commander of the Imperium, who was in charge of the Imperium's armies and also oversaw the Council. The Council of Terra was set to 12 members and was renamed the Senatorum Imperialis of the High Lords, which is the same thing as saying just the High Lords of Terra. Now this might seem like a blatant power grab by Guilliman, but honestly he was the only one suited to the task. Rogel Dawn, the previous Lord Commander, handed over the role to Guilliman, whilst no other Primarch objected to the dude that loves administrating
Well, then that's not a power grab then. I mean, if the person in charge hands it over and no other Primarch's like, yeah, no, you don't deserve this shit, I don't see it as a power grab, especially if you're qualified to do it. I'd rather someone have a little bit of an ego but be qualified to do it than someone who doesn't have an ego and it's not qualified, especially if you're doing the Imperium and you're sending millions of men at a time to fight literal demons and orcs that are basically demons in their own right, except they're green. I love orcs, so you want someone who's a little competent behind that, skull of theirs, so hey, if it works, it works. I mean, the Imperium tactics are kind of crap if you think about it. It's like excluding your Space Marines and all that specialty stuff. You literally just throw a shit ton of bodies on a line with flashlights, and shoot anything that moves until it's not alive, until it's mush. That's basically the Imperium tactics, right?
shit, becoming the Lord of Administration. There were 9 permanent positions, roles within the Imperium that were deemed completely necessary, with the 3 remaining positions being open to various other sub-factions within the Imperium who could try and get on the High Lord's
Being
table
permanent
if their
faction
sub-faction
or
was particularly
permanent position is
influential at the
dangerous though,
time.
bro.
The 9 permanent positions were the
Get
Master of the
stagnant.
Adeptus Administratum, for obvious reasons, a representative of the Inquisition because they are a nosy bunch, the Ecclesiarch of the Adeptus Ministorum, which only became a permanent position due to the rise of the Imperial cult centuries after the last of the Loyalist Primarchs vanished, the Grand Provost Marshal of the Adeptus Arbites, which is basically the Supreme Court but given to a single person, the Paternoval Envoy of the Navigators, as Navigators are still important as fuck, the Master of the
True.
Astronomicon, as
Suicide
what's the
though.
point in having
Well, I was thinking the guys who refueled the ships. That's suicide. I remember hearing something about that. Like they basically turn to mush. Like they get fooled up on drugs and shit. They just have to march down this hallway to refuel, and it's like death. I don't know.
Navigators if they can't see shit, the Fabricator General of Mars because pew pew, the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum because people are probably too scared to try kick him off, and then the Master of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica because in an intergalactic empire, being able to make psychic phone calls is pretty fucking important. Those are the 9 permanent seats. Obviously the actual person who is in that role changes as they die, but the seats themselves remain. The Inquisition seat often has a different person on it, as the Inquisition has no totally unified leadership and their leaders would be too busy anyways. Sometimes it's even a Grey Knight that acts as the inquisitorial representative. Now for the 3 remaining seats, there are actually 9 sub-factions who constantly vie to take them. The first is the Lord Commander of Segmentum Solar, basically a mini war master who commands
so
the Imperial
cool.
armies of the main segmentum of the galaxy. Then there's the Lord Commander Militant of the Astra Militarum, the highest ranking person in the
The horse
Imperial
with
army. However,
robo-legs?
due to how much politicking and bureaucracy there is at
That
that
is
level,
awesome.
he leaves the actual war command.
I've
to
never
the Lord
seen that.
Commanders
That's
of
so
each
cool.
segmentum. Then there's the High Admiral of the Imperial Navy, because fair enough. The Holy Synod of Terra, which is similar to the Ecclesiarch permanent role, but due to a very naughty boy called Georges Vandai nearly destroying the Imperium while he was a High Lord, the Holy Synod now acts as an oversight council to make sure that doesn't happen again. Then there is the Abbess Sanctorum of the Adeptus Sororitas, basically the leader of the Sisters of Battle. After that is the Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes, who only doesn't hold a permanent seat because they can't be fucked dealing with all the bullshit of politics. After that
True.
we have the Chancellor of the Estate Imperium, which to be honest I don't really know what they do, but it seems really fucking boring. The Speaker of the Chartist Captains, basically the Lord of Trade, and the Lord Constable of the Synopticon, which is like a mini Inquisition that focuses on the surveillance of the Imperium for internal threats. As you can see, not all these roles are like the others, with the obviously most important ones holding these High Lord spots. There has been 3 times in history where a High Lord got way too big for their boots and tried to take full control.
Only 3?
The first was the beheading, where the Imperium had been shown as the weak thing it truly was during the War of the Beast. After the heresy, there was a time of peace which made the Imperium weak. They barely defeated the massive Orc invasion, with the Space Marine commander Thane telling the Master of Assassins, whom he liked and trusted, to take charge in rebuilding the Imperium, while Thane would go out and rebuild the Space Marine chapters, and ensure that the Imperium would never get caught with their pants down again. This Master of Assassins, Van Gorich, was initially great. He was effective and did his duty, but he saw how useless and corrupt the High Lords actually were, as their own selfish desires slowed down the rebuilding efforts. Hence, in a single day, the day of the beheading, he had 10 of the High Lords assassinated, with their replacements being puppets loyal to him. Thane heard about this, but was like, fair enough, and carried on. Van Gorich would rebuild Terra and the Imperium, but over the decades he got really paranoid and began becoming a ruthless tyrant, who performed mass executions of innocents due to his own paranoia. Thane would not tolerate this, hence returned to
It was going good for a minute, and then he went batshit crazy. Welcome to Warhammer.
Terra and fought against Van Gorich and his assassins. Hundreds of veteran Space Marines died, but
Wow.
eventually Van Gorich was killed, leaving a massive power vacuum that threatened to ruin the Imperium. It took a few years and a large garrison of Space Marines on Terra to restore order, however eventually got sorted. The next incident was a few thousand years later, when that dick, Georges Vandire, was elected as the next Master of the Administratum, and then schemed and murdered his way to become the next Ecclesiarch as well. This
Wow.
made him exceedingly powerful, as he was both the soul and the brain of the Imperium. The conditions for his ascension were due to the weakness of the High Lords, as it had been thousands of years since the beheading. To protect
Yeah.
himself, Georges then founded the Brides of the Emperor, who would later become the Sisters of Battle, a warrior order of fanatical nuns who were 100% loyal to the Emperor, hence 100% easy to manipulate. Georges also manipulated them into having sex with him all the time, as he claimed it was the will of the Emperor. Once again,
What? Okay.
Vandire's paranoia would lead to insanity, as he would begin mass purges of imagined enemies, creating the Reign of Blood. Through the efforts of a cool dude named Sebastian Thor, a bunch of Space Marines, the Mechanicus, and the Adeptus Custodes, Vandire was eventually killed by the very Sisters of Battle who he founded, after the Custodes brought their leader to the Emperor for a chat. However, the damage was done. The Imperium would be in turmoil for centuries after Vandire's death. The final incident with the High Lords is when Guilliman returned and basically replaced most of the High Lords and purged a shitload of corrupt politicians and bureaucrats. The D-ranked High Lords tried to stage a coup and were even able to leverage the Minotaur Space Marine chapter. However, the Master of Assassins wanted to see how Guilliman's rule would play out. Hence, he assassinated the usurpers, and the Minotaurs were ordered to stand down after engaging in a fight with the
I love these
Custodians.
assassins, man.
The
They're just like
funniest part
buckets.
is that G-Man knew of the attempted coup, who would be involved and when they would strike, but he saw them as so pathetic that it wasn't even worth his direct intervention. All that politicking is a bit of a joke when it goes up against a beast like G-Man. As it currently stands,
G-Man.
the High Lords we know of is Guilliman as the Imperial Regent, Trajan Valoris as the Captain General of the Custodes, Fadix as the Master of Assassins, Morven Val as the leader of the Sisters of Battle, and Ode Odia Raskin as the Fabricated General. There are a few other names, but since they aren't important characters and you'll forget their names after this video ends, what's the point in wasting time and butchering their name pronunciation? As a side note, the Grand
Guilty.
Provost Marshal, the Lord Commander of the Imperial Army, and the High Admiral were all killed during their attempted coup against Guilliman.
Wow.
Fucking morons. In the current lore,
Why would you go against this guy? Like, just look at him. Also, he has the Emperor's sword. Like, just shut up and just shut up.
the High Lords, other than the Captain General of the Custodes, now act under Guilliman, more so his Council of Advisors and those he delegates to rather than equals. Thus, they are now more effective than ever, unified in purpose, which is why the Indomitus Crusade was such a success. The Imperium has had the means of total victory for thousands of years. They just had such short-sighted, selfish, incompetent politicians in charge. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then
Interesting.
pick up some Magical Crusade.
That's really good. I really do enjoy his videos because they get to the point, and as someone who's trying to learn Warhammer as much as possible, as quick as I can, I do enjoy his videos because he doesn't really bullshit it. It's just like, boom, here it is. Here's the layout. Now, I could take that and try to find another video that's even more in depth, and at least I'll have an understanding. So I really enjoy that. I'll never understand why, you know, at least in Warhammer, and as you say, in real life to a point, and some people are so engulfed with power. Like they need so much power. It's like there's way worse scenarios that you could be in, because it's always gonna come back and bite you in the ass. It always comes and bites you back in the ass in some way, especially in the Warhammer universe, and there's so many different factors that can lead to it. It's like you're not just a politician ruling over an empire. You're a politician ruling over an empire where there's demons, chaos gods, orcs, Tyranids, all these different things. And in your own military, you got little demigods and gods. So it's like, maybe just shut up. I mean, you could be down eating some of that scorch shit. I don't know what it's called, but it's basically like that human canned tuna looking food. You could be doing that. So, I don't know. I don't know. I guess those are my 2 cents. I mean, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I did. Again, review will be in the description. Show them some love. If you guys enjoy my content, if you guys enjoy my reactions, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Take it easy.